Hi everyone. So in this video, I want to talk a little bit about a relationship, a very important relationship that we go through in capoeira, which is the relationship with our body. I hope this music in the background is not disturbing. You will tell me in the comments, but I'm enjoying it as I'm speaking. So obviously capoeira is an art form, but it's a very physical art form. If you have to categorize it, it's in the performing arts because you use your body to perform capoeira. So obviously, capoeira requires a very unique relationship with your body, especially if you want to be an artist for many, many years. Not everybody comes into capoeira to do the long journey. Some people come to capoeira for a year, for 2 years, 3 years, learn a few lessons they need to learn, and they continue on their journey. And we're very happy that capoeira helped them out. But some people choose capoeira as their journey, as their path. And for those people, they go through many, many hero quests, hero's journeys. And the first one, and probably the main one, is your relationship with your body. So I'm going to share a little bit how it was for me. For every person, it's totally different depending on the age you start capoeira, on the teacher you start capoeira with, and depending on everything you went through in your life before you came to capoeira. So if you want to share a little bit of your personal relationship with your body, some things you figured out or are trying to figure out, please leave a comment and I will make future videos. Um, just connecting you to the context if you haven't seen the previous videos. So I started capoeira at a pretty young age, at age 14, but also before capoeira, I was already a professional athlete, a highly ranked tennis player. So just for the context, when I came into capoeira, my body was at the peak. Okay, so age 14, if you've been training your whole life, so age 14 is the peak, is the opportunity, it's the golden window of opportunity for perfecting techniques. We teach this in the level 2 instructor course. So I didn't know that back then, but it basically, that's just what happened. So perfect place, perfect time, perfect preparation, perfect coach, perfect art form. Uh, so I'll be honest, my physical journey in capoeira was a pleasure, was amazing. And I know that not for everybody it's like this, but still I think some of the things I learned along the way might help people, even though their journey with their body is a little bit different. Um, One of the first hero journeys I went through with capoeira as a teenager, and those of you that are teaching teenagers, it's very important, I think, to make sure we give them this opportunity. When you're a teenager, the capoeira gives you this opportunity to almost become a superhuman, right? Because, for example, you can learn backflips and you can learn a very elaborate floreos and movements, and you can learn very fast kicks. So it almost you learn how to unlock your superpowers. Of course, it doesn't happen by magic. There is a way of doing it. You're coached. In the beginning, you see some movement and you're saying, no, this is impossible. I will never do it. And then you break it down into preparation exercises and you rewind it and you slowly integrate and you go through the whole process. But when you manage to do it, something magical happens in the brain. Yeah. Imagine 3 months ago, you could not throw yourself in the air, flip over, and land on your feet. And 3 months down the road, not only can do it, but you find immense pleasure in doing it. So that was like my body was almost a way for me to discover the power of my mind as a teenager. Later, as a young man, this transitioned a little bit into like a little bit of like how do I say the right words? Yeah, the body was almost like my weapon. As a young man, you want to find out where you stand in the world. You want to feel confident. You want to conquer some things. It's a little bit of an ego trip, yeah, the ego trip of the young man, which is normal, the hunter, the warrior. So if you prepared your body well, then that is also another beautiful trip, yeah, where I used to travel to Brazil and try to find my place in the capoeira hierarchy and go into push my limits of aggressiveness, my limits of speed, my limits of adrenaline, and all that stuff. Yeah. So that also happens. That was a great uh, hero's journey. Uh, for lack of better words, I will call it the ego body. Yeah, when you use your body to construct your ego and find your place in the world. Then I had, of course, the teacher journey with the body. That as a teacher, you're working immense amount of hours with your body. Okay, for many many years I was teaching 5 or 6 classes every afternoon from 5 p.m. to midnight every night, teaching classes, also training by myself, you know. So these, through that, you go through a lot of injuries, a lot of pains, okay, a lot of tightness, a lot of stiffness, and through overcoming these you learn what you need to eat, what makes your body feel good, what to eat. You learn how to hydrate, you learn how to stretch, you learn how to strengthen your body, you learn how to go through seasons, you know, in which seasons you can push more and which seasons you can do less. So all of this is just lessons just through the body, and the body is just one thing you work with in capoeira, right? So look how many amazing lessons. um, but the most important lesson, the latest lesson I learned, and I wanna share with you this lesson, is the lesson I started to learn through COVID. Okay, so how does the body journey connect to COVID? So people that were very into the capoeira during COVID, suddenly everything went to an halt, right? So our whole identity, our whole personality, everything that has to do with everything we build our life around, suddenly tumbled down. It wasn't sure if we can continue to do capoeira. It wasn't sure if we can continue to teach. It's almost as if uh, all the certainty in our journey was suddenly questioned. Okay, and this sent people in many many different directions, and I want to share with you how it sent me in the direction with my body. So during COVID, a lot of stuff happened also, and I find myself, you know, thinking about where to go next when the Russian border is closed. And for 2 years, I cannot get back. So obviously, there's too much resistance in that direction. So I understand I need to start thinking about the next step, and I don't know what the next step is. And I find myself in Brazil, soul searching, like always. When I don't know where to go, I go to Brazil. Um, and I find myself not motivated to train capoeira. Now, for some people, they don't even understand what I said right now, but for people that have been training for 30 years and that your whole brain is wired to train 8 hours a day, then when you're suddenly not training, you almost go through a detox, okay? Because your brain is fried from so much dopamine. Imagine 30 years getting 5 hours of dopamine hits to your brain. For athletes, training and practicing and doing their art and playing, that's what social networks are doing today. You're basically firing dopamine. So if you're a very high athlete, you know what I talk about, this depression of suddenly when you cannot get the same amount of chemicals that you were used to getting before. So that was the first thing I went through, like sort of capoeira withdrawal. I think many of you went through this. And it wasn't pleasant. But somewhere inside of there, I was like, you know what? You've been doing this for so long. Uh, just detach a little bit. And I started to detach a little bit from this need to train all the time, and detach a little bit from this need to be a teacher, and detach a little bit from the aspects of my personality that were very, very, very attached to capoeira, being a master, being part of a group, being a student of someone. And this process I'm telling you now is a 6 months process. It's not like, but I'm just like analyzing it. And I decided that from now on forward, I'm going to reconnect to the essence of capoeira in my heart, which is pleasure. I got into capoeira because it gave me immense pleasure. And when I got into the first class, when I did capoeira, I remember my heart expanding and feeling so good. And basically, for the last 30 years, I have been chasing that feeling. And thank God I have had this feeling so many times and almost on a daily level. But during COVID, I sort of decided to restart my relationship with my body based on this first agreement that I had with myself in capoeira. From now on, I will only move if it gives me pleasure. Okay. Um, and I wanted to have a more of a loving relationship with my body because my body was feeling tight. I was feeling the stress. I was feeling that I have to drag myself to train, and I didn't like that. Right. So slowly and surely, once I decided that from now on I will only move if it gives me pleasure, it took a month or two that my body didn't want to move at all. My body just wanted to surf, go to the ocean. Sometimes my body would want to stretch a little bit, sometimes do some other stuff, but I would only do what my body really felt good as doing. And my body was exhausted after 30 years of nonstop banging. My body was exhausted, and it took about 2, 3 months for my body to even want to start doing something. And then by that time, my body has changed a little bit. It wasn't feeling so good, but I wasn't stressed. I knew I've been out and in shape so many times in my life. I knew that very quickly I can rebuild myself. So I wasn't about to get stressed. And suddenly, the body asked to go to a walk, to go for a bicycle ride, to go for a light jinga, to go for a slight stretch, to look for a hoda to play. But I started to follow more this path instead of me deciding what I want to do, is also to at least consider how my body feels. Fast forwarding 5 years down this path, because it's been 4 years, sorry, it's been about 4 years since COVID, and I've been following this path. And what I've discovered that through listening to my body, eventually my body is letting me today train a lot more than I trained when I was 35, when I was 30. Okay. Through this path of love and respect and integrity with my body, I have figured out a way to um, actually get more than I used to get when I was training hard. Now, this is just my personal experience. I'm not sure it relates to everybody, but maybe around this New Year's, you also feel that you need to restart your relationship with your body. I think most of humanity does, because our lifestyle has taken us away from knowing how to use this amazing tool. So, Capoeira is an amazing place to start. And if you want to relaunch this journey with your body, I highly recommend to think about taking the path of love. Love your body, take care of your body, feel how your body is moving, move with less resistance. Okay. If your body wants to give you a little bit today, take a little bit and say thank you. I promise you that with time and with patience, it's going to give you a lot more than you ever imagined possible.